Hello and welcome to the third part of this Scratch Soccer Heads tutorial. If you haven't watched the first and second parts, I would advise you do that now, otherwise none of this will make any sense. So I'd go watch the first part, and if not, let's carry on. So far what we got? Well, we got two cats. There you go. One moves this way, and if we press the space bar, he'll kick his ball that way. And we've got another cat here, and if he presses the space bar, he'll kick the ball that way. Good. So now what we need to do is we need to think about adding some goalposts. But before we do that, let's just hide all of these velocities. Here we go, all of these variables, because we don't need to see those. There we go. We've got a nice pitch. Good. So let's create a net. Let's create a net. So here we go. So first of all, let's click on this, and we'll create a crossbar. Let's make it a grey crossbar. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create the crossbar in two parts. Here we go. So in fact, three parts. The bit that goes across the top, the little bit that goes at the end, and then a bit that goes down. Here we go. So let's do the bit that goes across the top first. Let's click on nice and solid grey. And let's do a bit that goes just there. In fact, we'll add that there. Where does that go? Has that appeared anywhere? There we go. So there's our crossbar. Good. And that's going to go there. That's our first goal. We'll just do one goal at a time. Good. Now, here's our ball. Now, we don't want the ball to go through the crossbar. That's no good. So what we need to say here is if the ball is touching the crossbar, what's going to happen? It's going to bounce off. Well, if you think about it, when it's going down like this, okay, if it bounces down, if it hits the crossbar, then the x velocity, the speed across, the velocity across, isn't going to change. It's still going to carry on going. But what is going to change is the y velocity is going to be exactly the opposite. So what goes down must go up. What goes up must go down. So all we need to do is say is if it touches this, anytime this touches the ball, then we change the y velocity of the ball to opposite what it is. So there we go. So there we go, and here we go. I'm going to start, and let's do a forever loop again. And if we are touching, here we go. If we are touching the ball, if we touch the ball, then set the ball velocity, the ball y velocity, to the opposite of what it is. Now the way we did that before, we've done this previously, is we do 0 minus whatever the ball velocity is. Ball y velocity. There we go. So that hopefully might work. Should we have a go? Let's have a go. Let's just keep that over there. Now hopefully, let's see. Let's try and actually hit the. There we go. Let's see if we get it above. In fact, let me grab hold of the ball. Let's put it up there. There we go. Good. There we go. As you can see, there you go. So we drop it, and it bounces off. Now it's glitching slightly there. Let's see why that is. Okay, so what happens there is it goes below a certain value, and then it starts to glitch. And the reason it glitches, I think, is because we invert the value there. We invert the value, but we don't move it back up. We don't actually move it back up. Maybe one or two things here might help. Let's just try making it wait for 0.1 seconds. That might help a bit. Let's see if that's. We just give it a bit of a wait. Let's have a look. Bump, bump, bump. There we go. That's more like it, and then it drops. Well, we don't want it dropping through the net, but that's getting better, isn't it? So good. There we go. Now that actually should stop it. There might be a slight glitch somewhere where it doesn't stop it. Let's have a go. Let's try and find it up there. There we go. There we go. And it's yeah, there we go. See if we can just get it further up. There we go. It's almost there. It's almost there. We might have to tweak that a little bit to stop it from bouncing around and falling through the net, but there we are. that seems to be okay. In fact, what we might want to do here, just to send it on its way, is we'll give it a little bit of a speed kick. So there we go. Set the velocity to that, and then what we'll do is we'll just move. There we go. Let's just add a little bit to the velocity. Maybe that may move it out. What we need to do is actually move. We need to actually move it slightly. We need to give that ball a bit of a kick. So what we'll do is we'll use a broadcast, and we'll call this smooth ball. In fact, we'll call it nudge ball, because we're just sort of nudging it out of the way. Let's have a look. Nudge the ball, and when the ball receives that, we'll just move him, change his y coordinate by whatever his velocity. So that hopefully will give him a bit of a kick out of the way. Let's have a look at that. We'll try that. Let's see what happens there. Let's make sure that's working. And that will hopefully keep it out of the way. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's brilliant. Good. That seems to be doing okay there. It's keeping it right out of the way. Because it's doing like a double move, it's keeping it right out of the way. Let's just try that there. Let's give it a kick there. There you go. You see now it's starting to really bounce out of the way. Really, it's a bit of a cheat, but it'll do the job. It'll do the job. There we go. Now, you notice that there, where it sort of, when it hits the front of the crossbar there, it keeps on going through. And the reason is because just there at the front, we aren't changing its x coordinate. Now, what we really want is x velocity. What we really want to happen is when it touches the front of here and it hits there like that, we want it to bounce back across like that, but only, here's the clever thing, only if it's going that way. Here we go. So if the ball's x velocity is less than 0, so it's going that way, and it hits there, then we want it to bounce back and change to 0. So let's have a look. Here we go. So there we go. So that's setting the y velocity one. What we're doing now is let's do another one with the x velocity. Here we go. When start clicked. Forever. Let's have a look. If touching the ball. Oh, sorry, we don't want it there. Sorry, my bad. What we need to do now is create another tiny bit of the crossbar that goes at the front. So let's create a new sprite. Let's make it as a circle. There we go. And a nice little circle there. Where's our circle gone? There it is. I'll put that circle just there. There we go. So there's our circle there. And what we say with this one, same sort of thing. Start pressed. Forever. If we are touching the ball. If we're touching the ball and the ball's velocity is less than 0, ball x velocity, x velocity is the x velocity, and the ball's x velocity is less than 0. So if it's going that way and we're touching it, we need to invert it. There we go. So if we're touching the ball and the x velocity is less than 0, then we need to invert the velocity. Okay, same as always, set the ball x velocity to 0 minus whatever it was. That one. 0 minus the ball x velocity. Now hopefully, if we touch that, it'll bounce there and it will go into it. But you can't see it there because it's not, let's just try kicking it. There we go. Whoop. It's going to take this where I don't hit the ball. There you go. Do you see that? There we go. Perfect. Brilliant. Good. Brilliant. So now we've got it shouldn't bounce up from the top, hopefully. We'll have a go. And it also shouldn't, there you go, it shouldn't go into the goal if it goes there. Good. Perfect. Good. Obviously there might be a few glitches, but we'll find out. That's okay. Let's just check as well that that costume with the ball is dead centre. Yep, it's dead centre. Good stuff. And there's our ball. And brilliant. Now, So we've got the top bar, we've got that vertical bar there. We also need a, let's add another sprite, and let's add the vertical bar, which is about there, isn't it? Good stuff. Let's have a look. Whoops, that's a little bit, is that a bit long? Oh no, actually, it's a little bit short. Let's just, oh no, that's definitely too long. Let's just select it all, make it a little bit longer. How's that doing there? Yeah, that's perfect. Good. And there's our bar there for the front. I think what we'll do actually is we'll just select that there. Let's make it a little bit thinner. We don't need it that thick, do we? So let's make it nice and thin. There we go. There's our front bar. And we'll move them across there. Hey. Brilliant. Good. So, there's our first crossbar there. What we'll do now is let's duplicate it. Let's duplicate that one. Top bar. Now the top bar shouldn't really make any difference because it's just gonna, if it's going up it goes down, if it's going down it's going up. The front bar, duplicate that. That's okay. Brilliant. There we go. Again, that shouldn't make too much of a difference because that doesn't do anything. And let's duplicate that one. Let's put it on the end there to stop it from bouncing around. Now this one's slightly different because now what we need to say is we only want it to happen if the velocity is greater than 0. So if the ball X velocity is greater than 0, so it'll only do it if it bounces that way. Let's have a go with that. Let's press start. That didn't work there because we didn't have the start, so let's just press start there. Good. Perfect. Brilliant. So now we've got two nets that are both, if need to be, oops. Let's see if we can make this go up. There we go. Two goals, both of which are bouncing quite well. Good. Brilliant. Perfect. Good. Might want to make those goals a little bit smaller in a bit, and maybe make the ball a bit smaller, but that's fine. Good. So now what we're going to do? Well, next we want to start doing the scoring system. So, but before we can start doing any scores, we need to get a bit of a counter going. So let's choose another sprite from the library, and this time we're going to use the pre-made letters, and we're going to need some numbers. Where are our numbers? Here we go. Let's have a look. What numbers should we use? Let's use, I like these ones, so we're going to use these numbers here. Here we go. Or should we use the retro ones? No, we'll use these ones. There you go. So 0. Good stuff. There's a 0. Let's have a look at what it looks like a bit smaller. Yeah, that's a nice size. Nice sort of score, isn't it? Let's put that there. So there's our 0. And we need to add all the other costumes up to whatever your maximum score is. I'm going to have a maximum score of 5. So let's have a look. There's 0, 1. Good stuff. And let's add another one. So now there you go. 0, 1. Let's add another one. Add another costume. Letters. 0, 1, 2. Add another one. Letters. 3. Stuff. Add another one. Oops. Letters. 4. Let's just delete that one. I actually put that one in by accident. And letters 5. And there's our number 5. There we go. So the maximum score is 5, which is okay. Good stuff. So there's our score for the left hand side. 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Brilliant. Good. So what we want to do now is get the start clicked, and we want to change it so that whenever the score is, it'll match whatever the score is. Then that figure will match what the score is. So, but first we need a variable. Let's call it P1 score. There we go. Player 1 score. So player 1 score, and set to 0 at the start of the game. And all we want to do is forever. This is just going to match whatever the score is. It's nothing more clever than that. And we'll just need a lot of if statements. 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 0 to 5, which is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. And all we have to do here is we say if the player 1 score equals 0, then set the costume to the 0 globe. There we go. Good. And we just keep doing that. Duplicate it. Duplicate it. We probably could have duplicated the whole thing. In fact, actually, let's just do that. Duplicate. Duplicate. There you go. What, 2? Well, oh no. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, be careful there, because it's just gone inside there. And 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Good. And now, let's just have a practice. If I set the player 1 score to 3, just as a bit of a practice here, it should change that score to 3. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Good. So that's that scoreboard set up there. So that's player 1 score set up there. We'll duplicate that. Let's click on there, but of course this one's going to need a player 2 score. There we go, so we've got player 1 score, player 2 score. And this time get rid of all those player 1 score ones, we don't need those. It's going to replace them by player 2 score. Player 2 score, 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 and player 2 score. There we go. So now we've got player 1 score, player 2 score. We better set the score to let's set the score to 0 actually at the start of the game. There we go. Probably should find a better place to put these, but they'll go in there for the moment. There we go. And actually we'll have one more sprite. Letters. We've got a dash in between here somewhere. Let's have a look. Any dash? I don't think there is a dash, is there? How about an I? There we go. We'll use the I. There you go. And we'll make the I really small. And we'll just turn him. Let's turn him in direction left. Oops. Point in direction left. Oh no. Let's go 0. Up. Hey, there we go. That's a nice way of doing a nice improvised little dash there, isn't it? There you go. Good. So there's the scoring at the top of the screen, which is brilliant. So they're ready to go when the score goes. But how do you do the score? Well, let's just hide those two as well. What we want to say now is we want to say whenever the ball goes in here, we increase player 2 score by 1 and then move the ball back to the centre. Whenever the ball goes in here, we increase player 1 score by 1 and move the ball back to centre. So how do we do that? Well, what we do now is we do something clever. Let's create a new sprite. And before we do that, actually, let's just click on the stage and let's change our stage colour to green. Our background colour to green. There you go. There's a nice green. Ugh, that's a horrible green. Let's go with that green. No, too dark. We'll go with that green for the moment. I don't really like that, but or maybe a lighter colour. That one. We'll go with that green at the moment. So here's one player and here's the other player. We'll go with that green at the moment. And what we do here is we're going to create a little sprite. And this little sprite is not going to be green for the moment. We're going to make him, we'll make him white for the moment, just so that you can see where he's at and how it works. And we'll put that sprite in there. Let's make him a bit smaller though. Let's make it. You want him quite small. Too big and it can glitch out. Bit smaller is better. There we go. Put him about there. Good. So we do that. That's sprite 7. And what we do here is we say if. There we go. Forever. If. Let's do it forever. If I'm touching the ball. There we go. Touching the ball. There's the ball. Soccer ball. Ball soccer. Here we go. If we are touching the ball, that's okay there. Then what we do is we change the player. That's going to be there, so I have to change player 2 score by 1. Good stuff. There we go. So we changed player 2 score by 1, and we have to put the ball back in the centre. So let's use a broadcast, and let's call this reset the ball to centre, ball to centre. There we go, ball to centre. So if we're touching the ball, we change the player 2 score by 1 and move ball back to the centre. And what do we do when we receive ball to centre? When I receive ball to centre, we just set the go to, and let's put 0, 0. Let's find out. Does that work? Yeah, there we go. Good. Brilliant. So we set the ball to the centre. Brilliant. And that's that sprite there. Let's duplicate that sprite. Move that sprite there. And do the same thing. But this time we set the player 1 score, change the player 1 score by 1, and then broadcast ball to centre. Let's have a go. So now if we kick it, let's have a look. Oh, we need to press start. So we kick it. There we go. Perfect. Good. Now that's working, except for one small issue in that the ball velocity, as soon as it hits that, it doesn't change the ball velocity. So what we could also do here is when we do receive ball to centre, let's change the ball velocity to 0. So the ball X velocity 0, the ball Y velocity to 0. Good stuff. And there you go. So that's better. So it bounces back to the centre. There we go. Good. So let's kick it in there again. Good. 3. Oops. 3, 1. Brilliant. Perfect. Now, good stuff. There we go. Now that does that instantly, which I don't really like. I think it should have a little bit of a delay. Let's have a look. So what we'll do there is, let's go back to there. Ball to centre. What we'll do is I'll have a wait for a second. Wait for 1 second, or let's go wait for 0.5. And we'll wait for a little while because it's just a bit too instant, isn't it? Let's go wait for 0.5. Good. And the ball can go here. We'll put it back to the centre, set the velocity to 0, go to the centre, and then we'll just wait for 1 second. There we go. Wait for 0.1. There we go, half a second. Let's try that now. Is that any better? Goes to the top. Good. It's still moving, isn't it? There we go. And the reason it's still moving is because as soon as we set it to the centre, what it does, of course, is then gravity starts taking effect. So what we'll do now is let's just do repeat. Let's repeat 10 times. 10 times. There we go. And we'll just put that in there with a slight repeat. So it'll hold it in position for about 2 seconds. Let's do 0.2. That hopefully will work. Let's try that. So you press play, shoots. Can't get it in the goal now. I couldn't even try and do that before on purpose. Hey, there we go. There we go. Let's do 0.1 or 0.05. There we go. Let's try that. There we go. Ready? And it's started. There you go. It's a little bit glitchy, but that's okay. I can live with that. That's fine. There we go. You can always change that to the smaller value if you're all that bothered, but that's okay. Good. Let's try shooting again. So, oops. 3, 1. And it drops. Good stuff. Good. In fact, actually, what we could do actually is, rather than doing it that way, why don't we go to the centre, set the go to the centre, and then what we'll do instead is just set the X velocity, not the X or Y velocity, to like 10, and that actually should. There we go, and now it bounces back into the centre. That's better, isn't it? So shoots, goal, back into the centre. Perfect, brilliant. And we've got a scoring system. Now at the moment you're probably going, well, I really don't like these horrible white patches in there. Well, that's fine, because we put them there. The only reason we left them there before was so that we could see them. And now all we have to do is just paint them in. And there they go. They disappear completely. And if you have to debug your game, then you can just colour them in a different colour again. And it will work. and you'll be able to see them again, so you'll be able to edit it. So, just the last thing, all we need to do now is we need to say when the score gets to 5, whoever has got the highest score, whoever got 5, they win. So, what do we do? Well, let's have a look. All we have to do is create another sign. So let's have a look. Choose another sprite. Let's create another sprite, and we're going to use the letters. And there we go. There's our P. There we are. There we go. Good stuff. And need to say player 1 wins. Player 1 wins. So what we'll do, you can do, I'll delete that. What we'll do at the moment is, we'll do the fancier version. We'll do the fancier version. So let's add another sprite, and let's do letters, player, let's have P. You could do full player 1 wins. I'm just going to do one letter of, let's have a look, letters, player, oh, won't work because we haven't got a 1, have we? P1 wins. Well, yeah, we'll have to do it in the, let's do that with the other costume instead, because we haven't got any numbers on those. So, here we go, P, there we go, P, let's add some more, let's do our letters, player 1, there we go, and then we'll do another one, letters, wins. P1 wins. There we go. Let's add some more. W, I, N, and last one, S. There we go. So we'll do, that's all we're going to do with this one. It's going to say player 1 wins. You can change it. You can do, you can make the letters small and write player 1 wins. That's okay. So this is our winning thing. It's having to say P1 wins or P2 wins. So all we need to do here is make sure that this costume here, it's got, this one needs to have two costumes because it needs to have a 1 and a 2. There we go. Letters. There's our number 2. There we go. So that can be either a number 1 or number 2. The rest is fine. Now all these ones need to do is we say at the start of the game, when press start, we'll hide them. Good stuff. So at the start of the game, we'll hide them. Let's just copy that there. There we go. There we go. There we go. So all of those hide. There you go. Let's just test that. We press start. There you go. So at the start of the game, they hide. And when I receive, let's have a look, game over. When I receive game over, we're going to show. Let's have a look. So show, because all of these are going to show. There we go. So they're going to show, so they'll all display. And this one here, as well as showing, it also needs to do, let's have a look, if, there's our 2 scores, there we go. In fact, we'll do an if else. There we are. So if player 1 score is greater than, get rid of that if there. If player 1 score is greater than player 2 score, we set the costume to number 1 glow. Otherwise, we set the costume to number 2 glow. There you go. Brilliant. So, when I receive game over, show if player 1 score, if player 1 score is greater than player 2, let me display player 1 wins. Otherwise, player 2 wins. But how are we going to trigger game over? Well, I think what we'll do is we'll do it on this number 2. It doesn't. In fact, no, we'll do it on the ball. Oh, in fact, is it a ball? Yeah, why not? There we are. Let's do it on the ball. So, I'll add another when start clicked and control forever. There we are. In fact, actually, no, we won't do it here, should it? Let's have a look. Forever, if player 2 score or player 1 score or player 2 equals 5. Yeah, so we need an OR as well. So, if player 1 score or player 2 score equals 5, player 1 score equals 5, or player 2 score equals 5. What we do, so if forever, if player 1 score equals 5 or player 2 score equals 5, then we simply broadcast game over. Wait a tiny little amount of time, just enough time. Let's do 0.1 seconds. That's just enough time for all the numbers to switch and appear. And then once we've done that, we stop everything. If we do the stop all straight away, as soon as we broadcast game over, it'll stop it before it changes those scores. So let's have a go. Let's try that now. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 4. And oops, 5. There you go. And player 2 wins. Oops. Slight error there somewhere. If player 1 is... Oh! That way round, sorry. I did less than rather than greater. No, the wrong way round. Let's try that again. So, player 1. Let's have a look. Kick that all. 1, 2, 3. Oh. 3, 4, 5. There we go. Player 1 wins. Perfect. Brilliant. Good. Now there was a slight issue there where, if you notice, these were actually appearing in front of the ball when the ball hit it. So what we want to do there is, we will send these at the start of the game. Send them right to the back. So go back and let's put 3 layers. 3 layers, that should send it back far enough. Or 10 layers. 100 layers, there you go. That'll sort it out. Go right to the back. Let's go back 100 layers. There we go. Oops. Excellent. And what I might do here actually is, let's put a little bit of a, if it hits that, let's put a weight. If touches soccer ball, weight 0. Let's do weight 0.5 seconds. We'll wait wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. Let's put that in there. That hopefully should make it appear a little bit better. Should we try that? Oh, look, it kicks into the ball. Oh. There you go, it's about right, isn't it? But maybe not 0.1. Okay, let's do 0.5. Otherwise, if it hits it, if it's 1 second, it has time to bounce right back. So let's try 0.5. Kick, yeah, that's okay. So kick, yeah, that's brilliant. Perfect. Good. Try that again. Kick, good. Kick, brilliant. And last one. 5, player 1 wins. Brilliant. There you go. That's the entire game finished. You can tweak it, you can do whatever you want, you can make it a lot better, but that's the fundamentals of the game. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It's quite a long one, but I think we've learned quite a lot. Thank you very much.